Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing. Today I'm sharing a video with you that is heat embossing, and I'm going to go ahead and call it 102. I had a beginning embossing video that was a 101, and I'll link to that in the description. This video is focusing on the inks themselves. I'm not changing anything in the product lineup except for the ink. So I'm using the Embossing Buddy from Stampin' Up. I also have this EK Tools product with the powder in it. Some people don't like that you have to touch the bag from the one from Stampin' Up. Mine's very old, so the new packaging may be different. The powder gets on your fingers. The EK Tools one is heavily scented, and my allergies have been terrible, so I haven't even taken it out of the package. I didn't really understand when I ordered it or purchased it how scented it was. One of my friends was making cards, and I saw her Christmas cards, and her embossing wasn't very solid. And she said that I hadn't explained that very well, and I realized she's right, especially when I went back and looked at my 101 video. So in this video, I'm just focusing on the ink. I'm going to use the gold powder from Ranger all the way through. And the first one I'm using Distress Oxide ink. And it's not about how much you dump on the paper, it's about how much sticks to it. Distress oxides are a combination of pigment and dye, so they're somewhat wet enough like a pigment ink to hold it, but sometimes they don't. Because I used bright blue with gold, you can see everywhere that it's still blue, the powder didn't stick. In this video, I did several samples because I showed you the powder and the ink, and I shouldn't have done that. I realized to keep it going, I should move all the products quickly so that it's an even comparison. And it was about 67 degrees Fahrenheit in the room, not real warm. The paper that I'm using is the Nina Smooth, and I use the same paper all the way through. Then I'm re-inking. The only thing I've edited out of this video is when I'm putting powder back in, or if I just got way off camera. I didn't speed it up at all, and I didn't cut anything out, so you could see that I did it the same every time. Here I'm putting the powder on the Distress Oxide again. This time I was careful. I didn't tap the cardstock on the counter. That's a habit that I have that doesn't work as well with a less damp ink. In this one, I have gobs for reasons I don't understand. Maybe I touched it and the oil from your hands makes the stuff stick. So then I'm coming back in with a paintbrush and brushing the middle out so that when I hit it with the embossing gun, there aren't gobs of powder in the letters. So there you can see it looks better. I mean, it's still messy, don't get me wrong, but less so. You can do that with any paintbrush. Just be super careful, because if you get very close, it's about static, and it'll pull that powder right off of your letters. And you can see I've hit it with the gun, and it's turning shiny. And that's my dog drinking water in the background. This one turned out much more gold and less blue than the other one. You can see there's a distinct difference there. And then I decided to do a third example just because I wanted to compare. One thing about using your Distress Oxide inks to emboss with, they're much more versatile than, say, dye-based inks. You can't emboss with dye-based inks, but Distress Oxide, you're going to want to turn the heat down a little and get all your products lined up and move quickly. The other thing you might want to do if you're using Distress Oxides is if you have a stamp platform, use your stamp platform, and you can go over it again if you need to. You could either re-ink it or you could stamp and re-emboss over the top of it. Just experiment with the products that you have and get something that you like. For holiday cards, very often they're a little more formal design, and so you want your embossing to be as nice as possible. I'm also more likely to use embossing on holiday cards than a lot of other cards during the year. Just, I don't know, maybe because they're more formal and I love gold with holiday colors. Okay, so this is the third example, and again, it's coming out much more gold, less blue, so we know that the powder stuck. That's why I didn't use clear powder, because I wanted you to be able to see it. And this heat gun is some kind of no-name brand one, but it's fairly new. My other one was ancient, and my friend was making fun of me. I think I might have mentioned that before. So you can see you can heat emboss with your Distress Oxides, and it turns out lovely. I think the first one didn't turn out very well because I was showing the camera everything as I went, and that was too slow. So that's why I wanted to redo it. When you use Distress Oxides, the cleanup is a little trickier. You can't just stamp it out. So I use a baby wipe or a damp rag. I got some blue on there. I tried to clean it off. It's not coming off. We're just going to live with it. We'll just know that that spot's blue. And again, I'm using the powder tool. I tried to be very careful about using the powder tool each time so that it was a valid comparison. This time we're going to use Versamark ink. And Versamark, if you haven't used it before, it is clear. It comes in other versions, but this is just the basic clear. And it is sticky, and it makes, you can stamp it on a colored cardstock and just get a watermark, or you can do your embossing with it. It is one of my go-to products that I must have. And then I'm dumping it down on there. And I think what I found in the end with this experiment, and you can judge and look, is the Distress Oxides are probably harder to work with, but many of you have them. So since they're so popular, so that's why I make sure that I talk about them and include them. They're more versatile than dye-based, but maybe not perfect for everything. Okay, so that's just the powder. And then I'll heat it up, and you'll see it turn to shimmer. Sorry, I was turning it so that I could see it in the light. It doesn't always work well for you, but you can see it changing over. The idea is melt it enough, but not too much. And you'll learn if you haven't done this before. Heat embossing is wonderful. It's super fun, but it's one of those things where you have to have the tool, you have to have the powder, and you have to have the right ink for it. So by the time you're all settled, you're easily $40 or $50 into it. So you have to like it. There you go. You can see I'll be sure to move things around, and that's how it turned out with that one. And then we'll go and we'll look at the others. So that one was messier because I couldn't tap it off as much. And see how the birthday, it's a little more ripply. I think you'll see that the Versamark comes out a little smoother. It holds enough powder and melts a little nicer. One thing that I did discover, though, that I liked in experimenting with embossing, I made another video, but it was terrible because I didn't do things fast enough, so I felt like it wasn't a fair comparison. I really liked the look of taking Distress Oxides and putting the powder on them and melting. When you get like a 50-50 or a 2/3 and 1/3 blend, it is a really neat technique. It comes out interesting. So using teal and gold or teal and white, that would be pretty fun. It would be really neat for like flowers or texture. But I think if you use your Distress Oxides and it doesn't come out quite right, then that's fine because it's still a neat technique. One of the reasons I lean towards using Distress Oxides for embossing is because I use the color of the ink. I have colors in those that I don't necessarily have in other things, and then I use a clear powder. So if it doesn't cover the whole thing, it still looks nice. And you can see I'm just moving them around so that I can get that melted, and also trying to make sure you get to see the different options. This is not the most visually exciting video that I've ever made. I recognize that, but I think that learning about the different embossing techniques and the different inks will make you more successful in your projects and not frustrated. Okay, so both of them turned out fairly equal in Versamark, whereas in Distress Oxide, you're getting a lot of variety. So you might have to do it a couple times to get a look that you want. And I'm trying to focus my camera there. You can see I still do have some speckles around it, and I wonder if that's because my powder tool from Stampin' Up! Is very old, and I should bust open the one that I'm sure is going to make me sneeze. Which sneezing with the powder won't be so good. Versamark is very hard to clean off, okay? I'll be honest with you. Out of the three types of ink that I'm showing here. Versamark is super sticky and it's clear. So figuring out when it's gone is tricky. Now I'm going to demo with Versafine Clair, which is a pigment ink in the Paradise color. This is another example of a pigment ink you might have sitting around. And another, I don't even know where I got that one, pigment ink. Anything that's very wet. That green one, honestly, is old and probably not going to be beautiful for embossing. So that's why I didn't demo with that one. Also, I thought this blue one would show better than it did on the stamp. It was hard to tell when I was inking the stamp. It's much darker than the other blue. And Versafine Clair is another product that's newer, so I also thought many of you might have them if you've been in stores lately and picked one up. And again, same powder, same way, all the way through. I'm just trying to do it for consistency. Be sure, if you haven't done heat embossing before, that you are watching the 101 video, because I'm doing some terrible habits in this video. Not covering up the inks, not putting the lid on the powder, but I'm doing that so that it's quick and I can get the best results possible, and I'm trying to show it to you. I just don't want you to learn how to emboss from this video. And here I had a big mess. I was shocked at how much stuck to that paper. So I'm using my fingers and trying to straighten it out and do the best I can to get it cleaned up. And I think it's also good that you see some suffering, and so you know about that. Heat embossing is about static. If there's too much static, the paper will hang on to that embossing powder even where there's no ink. So that's how you get that speckly mess in the background. Humidity in the room, or how much you've moved the paper around, or the cleanliness of your hands, because oil can make them stick too, is all going to play a role in heat embossing. Some days might go better than others. I find that with Versamark or a nice fresh pigment ink, I'm usually pretty well off. I almost always forget to use the little duster bag and then just go with whatever I have. Lots of times for me, though, I'm doing a speckly background, so it's okay if I have embossing speckles too. It works itself out. Here, I'm just doing it again because I wanted to see if I was more careful about patting the powder thing, if that made a difference, because that first one was such a mess. And then what I sort of realized was, okay, this one was super gooey because I turned the stamp pad and first I had been putting the pad down, and then I took the pad and pushed it to the stamp. And I'm going to show you in another segment why there's a difference in that pad and why that made such a difference. So that second one was much more gooey, which is great for embossing. Gooey is the technical term, of course. You wouldn't want it to be that gooey if you were just stamping it and leaving it, because when I stamped it, I could see the variation in the letters where it had kind of globs of ink. But that's not a bad thing for embossing. The more powder you can get to stick on there and melt nicely, the more impactful that embossing will be, and the more it will smooth out, I think. I think it will smooth out more. If you don't get enough powder on there, it can't melt with a smooth finish. So if your inks are really old and dried out, it's probably not going to work. Okay, now after this one, I did another test, but I didn't adjust the focus of the camera, so I had to cut a bunch of it out. So you'll see that there's a lot going on. Okay, the pigment inks, the Versamark. I think the pigments turned out nearly as smooth and nice. I just have a bias to the Versamark. The other thing I like is then I only have the one stamp pad and I don't worry that much about the color. And I can switch projects easy and not worry about color on my stamps. Okay, here I got out another piece of paper of the Nina 80-pound cardstock, same exact paper, stamped the top happy birthday, and then I'm doing another one. Because what I was wondering is, on that piece of paper as I went across, I had handled it a whole bunch, right? I'm shaking it and moving it around, and I think that's why So much powder was sticking to it. See how clean this one comes off and how the one above it doesn't have speckles all around it? It may have been a better test had I cut the pieces of paper separate and not handled them all the way through. So that's what I wanted to look at, and I do think that was part of it. You can't blame the ink because the powder stuck in places that there weren't ink. Does that make sense? So I wanted to see what the pigment ink would look like if the paper hadn't been handled a whole bunch. And I was already doing it, so I can save you the work. In the end, I think that did make a difference. So if you were going to do a whole bunch of them for, like, maybe you're doing assembly line holiday cards or something like that, you might want to think about cutting it into strips and stamping quickly and powdering them all and then doing them at once, so you're not handling one by one. This VersaFine Clair pad is hard. Most pigment pads are more like this one, where it's foamy and my finger goes right into it. So on that hard pad, it was important for me to pick up the pad and take it and push it down on the stamp instead of going stamp to the pad. That's why I wasn't getting enough ink, I think, on the first ones. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you didn't die of boredom on this video, and have a great day. Bye-bye.